sort of financial planning.
Yeah. And also the finance team are closer to the committee.
Yeah, I like that we've come along leaps and bounds. I applaud you and your efforts with what you've done with our abilities to be able to manage our finances, because prior to that we were having issues. It's fair to say. Grace.
Yeah. Thank you for your explanation. So maybe just for clarity for members, and because the administration has grown somewhat in their full year budget, maybe clarity around administration. Has the Raupo Drainage Board got its own administration team, or is it spread right across council? I'm not sure how that works. I know we have our team up there now, but just for clarity's sake, what are we getting out of council in terms of administration? Because I know Wayne does a lot of work, Ian does a lot of work on the side, and all members, do stuff around the drainage district. So,
I mean, if we look around the table, we get a bit of Graham, a bit of Amanda, a bit of
Yeah.
Tracy.
Yeah, resource. Yeah.
So there aren't, apart from Wayne, who's not even dedicated just to this team.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. You get
But
a bit of people.
It bewilders me that administration is more than operational costs when there's a need for extra funds in our drainage system. That's all I'm saying.
So I think that LTP discussion is going to be a really important one to have and to question, challenge. Now, our selected members might be here, but to challenge that and to get plenty, and if that LTP discussion comes up with time for this committee to reflect, challenge that.
I think for me, I know, and I can't speak for the other, that clarity and a fair process that our targeted ratepayers are getting the best for their money.
What percentage did our drainage rates go up this year compared to last year? What was the percentage?
It works out from the number. I'm not sure off the top of my head. As I say, that was set in the long-term plan.
Yeah. Yeah. So that LTP funding projection was presented was put out at one of our operational working group meetings. Just as I don't think it was presented in this forum.
Would have been before I joined council.
Yeah. So we were given the projections. And that's being reflected in the overall rating. But the point in here is the percentage of that overall rating increase. It's disappearing, and I'm not going to use the term non-productive, but non-infrastructure, direct infrastructure contribution to the district.
Making a suggestion that LTP budget comes to this committee as well, so that it is approved at this committee level, not just at working group level. Just because that gives you the proper documentation as well, that you see where the decision was made.
And that's a decision, or that's what comes in front of us is those decisions by staff, not necessarily us. So I'll.
I'm not trying to justify it in any way, but I'm just looking at this organisation compared to when I came here 3 years ago. And before Gavin came along, governance advisor, didn't have the same structure that you've now got here. I'm looking at Stacey, for example. We've got four council staff at this meeting. I'm not trying to justify the increase. I'm just saying this has become a much more formally structured organisation than 3 years ago. And you made a comment how that's benefited you because it's allowed you to have the knowledge to run it how you want. But I'm not saying necessarily that's justified the cost, but there has been a significant increase in the administrative support you've received from the council.
But we were doing very well though, you all came along.
And you'll do just as well when I leave. That's fine.
Yeah, but
and thank you for your contribution. Sorry?
It's cost us a lot more to get there.
Maybe now that you can look at refining whether you need that much support now that you've got it under control. That's what your organisation to decide later.
Think about that.
It's a good point. It's called evolution.
Okay, well, we've raised the points. I will take up the discussion with the chief executive. Yeah. Yeah, create the paper trail for the new chief executive to take up.
Because the chief executive, current chief executive, in late October.
So we'll take up the discussion and but if you're able to just sort of bear it in mind and if things are happening within your department the way this can be raised, then would you?
I'm well aware of it, so
Yeah.
right, I'll look at it.
Thank you, Graham.
Yeah, this is just one last big comment on the financials. I hate the word miscellaneous. And you've got a $282,000 miscellaneous on page 16. So if we can just refine that miscellaneous to
It's just, if I can speak to that, I'll say, Graham, on this one, it's just that's the operating allocation. We haven't allocated to the individual cost centres yet, Grace. But it's just come under that miscellaneous repairs and maintenance. That's our entire operating budget for the year. So we'll be allocating where that goes probably in the September working group meeting a little bit more. Exactly. Wayne will have a better idea where we need to spend some money this year. Okay. Any further discussion on the financials?
Just one small thing, just an observation. I see exactly on the same thing. It's only a couple of years ago we were spending $4,000 a year. Pretty hard to go from 4,000 to 19,000. Budget at 50. It's on page 14. Management services. Just an observation.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. All those in favour of pardon, sorry? Yep. All those in favour of receiving these reports?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Chairman, sorry, a question for clarification. Is the right handmost column, is it titled correctly? Regarding year to date and full year budget 21-22, because that year is finished.
Yeah, that's the June one, the July one.
Oh, sorry, telling
The previous one.
Thank you. That's the June one. Sorry, I misnoted that. I don't have the July one.
The following page.
No. Oh, yes. Sorry, DSC over here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Withdraw. Defeated. Thank you.
call it age.
Yeah, no, it's the glasses. Grace, it's the glasses. It's hard inside this head right now.
Okay. Item 6. I'd like to move the report in front of us. Have a seconder,
Second.
Mayor Smith. And hand over to Anno.
Okay for me to speak in here. Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think the report is read, but just a way of background, proposing 3 wards reform. It's currently making a number of passages through. So there are 2 bills essentially of this committee. There was Bill 1, which essentially sets up the establishment of the water entities. So there'll be 4 water entities within New Zealand, it's proposed. Entity A is from Auckland right up through to far north. And that encompasses all the councils of Auckland, including Watercare, Kaipara, far north and Whangarei. The bill was passed in the House and open for submissions, and submitted on the bill. And there's a roadshow of select committee hearing submissions, and your worship did our submission yesterday. They want to provide some commentary after this. So the main focus of our submission was around the fact that don't agree with the reform. However, there were areas of opportunity that we saw to put into the submission should the bill be passed in the House, which is scheduled to be later on this year. Sorry, I did say there's 2 bills. The second bill will be introduced a little bit later on in the year, and that second bill provides powers and functions for the entity to operate. So first bill we submitted on is just setting up the entity. Second bill is actually the powers and functions that will come later. The issue for this committee is around the land drainage and the stormwater aspect of the treatment. It's quite clear that water and wastewater is relatively simple, and I think that the Department of Internal Affairs is running the process to understand that. There's been a number of stormwater working committees. I was actually on the first one established last year. The conclusion of that was further work needs to be done on stormwater. There's a second working group that's been established to further define what that stormwater, what gets transferred and what doesn't. My understanding is the work is still going on. I'm going to get in touch with Phil Isles, who's the lead officer in ETU, who's running the stormwater. I haven't been able to get hold of him this week, but he's the person that is leading the stormwater within the Department of Internal Affairs. So I'll need to get some information in terms of what's happened to date. So there has been quite a bit of work, but I just sort of understand in totality. So I'll endeavour to do that, and we could probably report through you, Chair, and do an email to this, just giving a brief update. I'm sure there'll be some updates before the next committee in December, so we can do that. Our submission largely aligned with that of for local democracy and the Christchurch City Council, who essentially said that stormwater should not be part of the first tranche of assets because it's still quite a lot of uncertainty around what you do. So we supported that submission. Failing that, we said that then there should be some bespoke arrangements made with individual councils, because stormwater is different across the whole country. And what bespoke means is that the water services entity would enter into discussions with council and regional councils to say, well, what should be transferred, that's clearly defined, and what aspects should remain until further defined. So that's largely it. I'm happy to take questions. As I said, Your Worship attended the submission yesterday.
I could just speak briefly. We had the opportunity to meet with Phil.
Yep.
He came up a month or 2 back in one of the meetings we had at home. So we were able to give first-hand account of the operations of land drainage and the implications of what was being put in front of us. So Phil he actually went away from that particular meeting well briefed and enlightened on some of the challenges of the land drainage system. So we should be familiar with Raupo in particular. So that was a wonderful opportunity to be able to take that and put our case directly to the team. So we've made hopefully some some headway there with those discussions. But Jason, if you spoke yesterday, I believe.
So, yes, so that's, on behalf of the committee, I discussed specifically the drainage district issues in my 10 minutes that I was allowed at reporting to the Parliamentary Select Committee yesterday. And that included questions from them to me about thus broad such, and I can tell you, talk about a frustrating experience, because some of the questions that they had were linked, and I'll talk here to the councillors, were linked back to the questions that we had as a council back in September a year ago to DIA, which haven't been clearly answered yet. And I was getting those same questions from the select committee members, and I said, look, we've asked those questions and we haven't got the information. We still haven't got the information. This is problematic. And they're like going, what's going on here? So some of those matters pertain to the drainage districts and the fact that Kaipara has 200 square kilometres of these alluvial flats, including Raupo, right? And the Ruai Flats area. They also took particular note, David Seymour took particular note of the fact that Kaipara District Council has a stop bank system that's nothing to do with the regional council, and that the Department of Internal Affairs' papers that had gone to the government said regional councils in charge of all the stop bank systems, and district councils, it's nothing to do with district councils. So I said to them, it's not true. And they said, it's really interesting and complex, because they'd been told that it was really simple. So I go, well, exactly what you guys are doing on the ground is managing the system. So the select committee, there were 6 members there yesterday. There were 3 from the Labour Party. It was chaired by Barbara Edmonds. There was Helen White and Anna Lork. And then there was Simon Watts from National, David Seymour from ACT, and Eugenie Sage from the Green Party. They were the people to whom I presented yesterday on behalf of Kaipara District Council for the complete submission from Kaipara District Council. I made it very clear to them that Local Government New Zealand is advocating that stormwater, which includes drainage districts, all right, be slowed down and or be a later story for the 3 waters. That the minister had originally said it would be 3 waters, then it was going to be 2 waters because stormwater and drainage districts was too hard, and then they went back to it being 3 waters. And just to take everything in, because you can't separate it all out because it all gets highly complicated. And so the select committee's got real work ahead of themselves to sort this out, because Local Government New Zealand, on behalf of all of the councils of New Zealand, is saying the stormwater sort of work that's happening here shouldn't just quickly, urgently go into the 3 waters program. Christchurch City Council is also saying the same, which is what's in the papers here, and they've led that approach. The stormwater just needs more consideration for all of these issues that are at work here. So it's highly complicated when the legislation is moving at speed, and there are many slips for small organisations and small councils here. But we've done our very, very, very best to put issues and opportunities such as this committee and the work that's happening here onto the radar. And I think it's as on the radar as it could possibly be. What happens next? No idea, right? But it's not like they don't know, and that's the most important thing that we can contribute right now.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Jason. And yeah, it's not, we've all tried, we've had the direct discussions, because when you at this level, you understood what a catastrophe it would have been if this was rushed through you're losing the institutional knowledge and governance structures that are set in place to manage these systems. They are complex systems, simple but complex in the same breath. So I appreciate your efforts.
I've also got something further to contribute here. You might remember Jim Sefton, the Yorkshireman who used to come to these meetings, was in the infrastructure role prior to Anin. Jim is now the infrastructure manager for Whangarei District Council. He was on the transition unit for the Three Waters reforms. He was seconded out of Kaipara into that work to lead thinking in that space. He has exited that role and he's gone back to work in Whangarei District Council. There is a group called Northern Waters, which is the waters related staff of the councils of Northland and Auckland, yeah, who are working as a team. And Jim Sefton is now a key lead in that work. And then his team, they're involved in that too for Kaipara, but Jim Sefton comes with the knowledge of Raupo and that understanding. And of course, for Whangarei, they've got the Hikarangi swamps and that different, but similar, but different system there, particularly as a drainage system. The reason I share that is because Jim, the continuity of Jim and his knowledge here is important if this all continues proceeding, because he has an understanding and of here, and he's in the gearbox. And Whangarei is most likely to be leading that work in a noisy space because they've got lots of resources here. So, so again, keeping connections, this committee through and then with Northern Waters will be important. And Jim said it's still about the people and their knowledge of the system. And that's really important because he was a champion for the Raupo Drainage Committee to retain its, I'm going to use the word sovereignty, but its intellectual capacity and its skills to be doing what it does. He was a huge champion and believer of that, and he carries that into his job now in Whangarei. But what I'm saying is that voice is still at the table. So there's lots of hope there. Okay, but it's just there's still significant change in the wind.
Thank you, Jason. So I suppose before we continue, I should just declare conflict of interest. And so I've been seconded to the Auckland Regional Council Mana Whenua group talking on the Three Waters reform. And that's on behalf of Te Reo as because of the southern borders and the overlaps into Kaipara. So I just wanted to clear that. And Te Reo met with Jim and your person from the council, John, someone from the council, and we talked about the stormwater reform. So I just wanted to say that Jason is exactly right in what he's saying. Jim is our resource. He is our resource because he's got that local knowledge of the Raupo Drainage Board. So I just want to take it in for Jim. Yeah, because we had a really good discussion. I'll call it a discussion over in Whangarei. Just wanted to clear that conflict of interest with the Auckland Regional Council.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
So any further discussion on the paper? Yeah, those in favour accept that paper. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Item 7. Someone like to move Item 7, the Rural Adaptive Pathways paper. Mad?
Mr. Chairman, sorry, which names are being inserted?
Uh,
I need to put the names in.
Okay, so I have canvassed all of the six members of the committee regarding stepping up to take part in this, and I am putting forward myself and Grace. I understand Grace is going to be on the panel in another capacity as well, but we have discussed that, and she's happy to wear both hats.
It's one place, one people.
So through the chair, so the resolution currently reads, approves the following 2 committee members as Rural Adaptive Pathways Community Panel members, Ian Beattie and Grace LeBroff. Can we have a mover and seconder for that?
I'll move that.
Can I just say something? The name is LeGros.
Thank you. Apologies.
Silent is.
David.
Suits my ears.
Understand that. Sorry. Can we vote on that? Or we just... We've got to move in a second. Can we vote on them? It's 2 people being.
Okay.
All
So
those in favour?
all those in favour of that resolution? Aye. Against? Carried. Do you wish to speak any further to that? Okay. Good.
Moving to public excluded and get ready for that.
Yes, I'd like to move that we move into public excluded session. With Anna, Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Yeah, just confirming the minutes of the public excluded session 19th of May. I'd like to move that. Seconded, Brian Madsen. Those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. I would now like to move to return the meeting to the open session. Seconded, Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Grace, would you be able to, being no further business, would you like to close the meeting with a karakia, please?
Kia tau kia tata katoa te ata whai o tō tātou ariki e ihu karaiti. I te aroha o te atua, i te whiwhina taitanga ki te wairua tapu. Ake, 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 amani. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for those that are within this meeting. We ask that you give them safe passage to wherever they are going. We ask that you put your love around our mokopuna and our children and those kaumātua and koea that are heavy burdened. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Grace.
Mr. Chair, sorry, just would like to. Mr. Chair, I just would like to really quickly thank you guys very much. This is the last time you'll see me. I'm going to return back to the higher ground across the river now. So thank you for putting up with me for 3 years. Gone quickly. Don't you say a bloody word. So thank you.
Thank you for your input, Dave.